Everyone loves sea otters and puffins.
Our names are Mike and Heather. We're traveling the US in our van Appa on a mission to visit all 50 states. Subscribe and join us as we try to figure out this whole van life thing. As always, thanks for watching. Good morning from our campsite here in Washington. We are finishing up our oatmeal. We are going to be working our way up the coast of Washington. Today's first stop in our Washington journey is actually the Hoh Rainforest. But before we head out, we just have a few more errands to run.
Soaking wet when we put it away.
Back your way.
All right. Do you know which way I'm turning?
Right.
Right?
I don't actually know. Let me get the GPS up. About 2 hours of driving later, we have made it to the Olympic National Park. Now this park is huge and we had to be very selective in what we're wanting to do while we're here. We actually stopped over and walked out into the beach for a brief moment to not only look at the beautiful ocean views, but also to see the Tree of Life, which is this really cool tree that hangs over two cliff edges. Now that we got our first glimpses of all the beauty that Olympic National Park has to offer, we're gonna head deeper into it and head to the real reason why we came, which is the Hoh Rainforest and the thing that I'm most excited to see here. Hi.
How's it going? Good, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
You too.
We have finally pulled up at the Hoh Rainforest Visitor Center, which is the start of a couple of trailheads here that we're very interested in doing. And very on the nose, it has started pouring almost immediately as we pulled into the parking lot. It is a rainforest after all, so we're digging out our rain jackets to go on a very rainforest hike.
The Hoh Rainforest as a rainforest gets something like almost 12 feet of rain a year. So we are definitely catching it at a time where it makes sense that it's raining because it's raining a lot. The Hoh Rainforest is definitely a popular spot. It took us about 15 minutes. Oh, this is pretty, this little stream.
I was thinking that.
Wow. It took us about 15 minutes to be able to get into the park and find a parking space. But once you do, basically all of the trails leave from the visitor center. So we're going to be doing those two loops off of this. My feet will definitely get wet on this one, so no stopping that, but I'm really excited for this.
Not only with the rain pitter-pattering down are the sounds here amazing, but it also smells amazing. Like the freshest forest I've ever been in.
You are my sunshine on a rainy day. You are the one who takes my breath away. In the vast skies of love, I'm free. As long as you're here with me.
There are these moments where it just is surreal that we're able to do this. To have come all the way from New York on the other side of the country to be in the Pacific Northwest in a rainforest here in the States is just really what I think this whole thing was about.
Can sway but never fall. You are my sunshine on a rainy day.
It's cleared up enough to not need the umbrella, just in time to hit the second hike.
We are currently on the Spruce Trail, which is the other of the two really popular trails here. There's a few less people, or at least we've seen a few less people, but it's no less pretty. Both of these are definitely worth the walk if you're here, and here comes the rain again. That's a song title.
We have followed the Spruce Tree Trail down to the river, so we are catching our first glimpses of it, and it's actually a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. We have made it back to Appa after the wonderful rainforest hike that we just went on. The rain went away and now we are left with some blue skies. I don't know how long it'll last, being that we are still in the rainforest area, but I'm going to wipe off my feet as best as I can. Try to get all the mud off, and while we do that, we're also going to try to find a spot to settle in for the rest of the day, but also to eat, because we are both starving at this point in time.
We've come into the town of Forks, which, if you've read Twilight or seen any of the Twilight movies, that name should sound familiar.
And for those of you who don't know anything about Twilight, it was the vampires versus werewolf movies and the books, but Forks was the place that everything was based out of.
We're not going to be able to do anything like we did for the Goonies in Astoria because I don't think anything was filmed here in Forks, at least from the first movie. But we did find a pizza place that we are excited to stop in and get food at. And on the whole, I think being in this area, which we'll camp nearby tonight, is going to put us in a good position for getting to where we're going tomorrow.
Enough talking, let's eat because I'm getting hangry. We got some big bumps to go over. Okay, this is a lot.
As we're heading up to a spot that we can stay for the night.
Oh my gosh. Stuff like this makes me so nervous.
Well, if we don't like it, we'll turn around and find a different spot, but I think we'll be good.
It's like a hill with like pretty deep gravel, so it's like if you stop, you're gonna like spin your wheels. And then part of the road was a little bit washed away from what looks like a mudslide or heavy rains. But we went through it, there was lots of bumps. And I think we're coming to the spot now that's supposed to have a fire pit. We did pass a few vans at the bottom of this long road that did have little camping setups with fire pits, but oh no, somebody took it, Mike.
Well, they took one of them. They made up in a minivan, good for them. All right, we'll go to the next one. If we don't see it, then I think we'll just turn around.
We are in a national forest that does have like the official boondocking offshoots, and that's what we're getting to. It's just that this access road is maybe meant for four-wheel drive vehicles, but our van's doing it. I don't want to jinx it though, so please give it some gas. But all along this road there's supposed to be sites, so keeping my eyes peeled.
We're gonna be so muddy.
So we are aborting the mission of going up this hill and are going to try to find one of the spots that we saw down. They weren't as kind of secluded or off like the main road, but to be honest, it's getting a little bit dark and we definitely don't want to find a spot like in the dark. So we're playing it safe today because we don't want to be going down this hill in the dark if we make it to the end and there's nothing. So we're going to turn around now and go hopefully get that spot that we drove past originally.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm not super bummed, but like a little bummed because the last spot that we ended up coming to would have been so cool. It was backed up right to the stream. It seems like it'd be really great, and I'm 100% sure that spot got filled up way earlier in the day. Whoever ended up with it, I'm sure has a fantastic, just really nice, pretty spot for the night.
Made it down the hill alive, but all the spots are now taken, so back to the drawing board of where we're going to boondock. I did see there might be a business in town where you can sleep in their parking lot, so I think that's where we're going to head tonight. If not, I think we may have to backtrack towards the Hoh Rainforest because there's a lot more boondocking out there. But around Forks, it's proving to be quite difficult because it's so popular, so all the good spots are gone.
It's going to be nice to just get a spot that we can crash for the night, so however it works out is never a problem.
We have backtracked a little bit towards the Hoh Rainforest. When we got into Forks, the travel plaza that we wanted to stay at had the dreaded no camping sign. So we think we found ourselves a spot. The only problem is, and it was listed on iOverlander, we have to drive through some branches and bushes, and we don't really want to do it with the solar on our roof, but Mike is going to scope it out just to make sure nobody's kind of like tucked in there because it has been so popular. Is it taken?
No, we're good. So there's a little tuck in on that side. a little tuck-in on that side. No one would go further than that, so we're good. I'm going to back us into this point, and then we'll just wake up and go in the morning.
That is the tunnel that you're supposed to go in, and there's a camping spot on the other side of it, but it's too low for our van.
And I think probably too low for most vans, so that's probably why this spot isn't taken, because just about everything else that we've seen has been. I can move us over just a little bit, and that'll keep us from being like down. It's a little bit later than we usually like to get into a location to set up and get everything converted into bed mode, but we found it. We're really excited. I think it's a good spot. It feels level. We're in the national park, so they allow for dispersed camping and basically just pulling off where you find a good spot. We are going to get ready to end the day because we have a big day tomorrow, but before we do, we have a little bit of chores to do.
Technically, they're just some of the chores left over from this morning. When I was putting this in bed mode, I forgot that we had a whole load of laundry that we now have to put away, so let's get to that. Now that the laundry has been put away, I think that we can finally call this a day. We are going to wake up bright and early tomorrow to go on a hike, and then we're going to explore more of the Olympic National Park as we make our way to Seattle.
We've had a really great first day, I think, in this part of the Pacific Northwest. I loved being able to go into a rainforest. I think that's so cool. This is one of the few times I'm okay with rain during van life because sometimes it just makes everything damp. But this has been such a great day, and I can't wait to see what we have in store for us tomorrow.
Good morning. We have driven back into the town of Forks in order to pick up some more supplies for this next leg of our trip here. But the best thing is, while we were in there, we found a little pamphlet. So I guess we were wrong. I know, shocker. But there are some spots here in town that are from the Twilight movie. So they have Bella's house, the Cullen home. So we're gonna swing around and see some of those before we make our way to our hiking spot this morning. But first we need to put away all of our groceries that we just got. So we are leaving Thriftway, which is the grocery store here in Forks, and attached to it is the outfitting, or the sports outdoor store that Bella would have worked at. So we didn't even mean to, but we landed right in the middle of a book setting here in Forks. We are leaving that area and heading to Bella's house, which is supposedly only a street or two away. I am using my map reading skills to try to get us there because there's no addresses but little dots everywhere. So this is what I'm working with.
It's kind of a neat town, and it was interesting. In the pamphlet it said that the author Stephanie Myers had done a Google search for the most rainy place in the United States, and it ended up being the Pacific Northwest, and specifically this kind of small town of Forks.
Because the vampires could never be out in the sun.
And here we are.
You can see Edward Cullen in the window.
Oh, it's an Airbnb place. Yeah. Very cool. So this is the Forks Hospital, and somewhere in the parking lot is a designated space for Carlisle Cullen. He was a doctor because he saved lives. They were good vampires. You found it.
Woo! 2 for 2.
Similar to, obviously, Bella's house, I think it's really cool that the town of Forks plays into this, at least enough to make it fun for people coming through here. I don't know how every individual in town feels, but I like that there's something to do in this area for something that is so noteworthy about the town.
I am trying to navigate us to the Cullen home, which is right past the police station, and I think I see a sheriff's truck, so I think we're finally heading in the right direction here. We have found it, but we have driven past it. So now we are turning around to finally see the Cullen home, which is what I was looking for. So this is like the family of vampires where they lived. I'm honestly surprised at how many people we keep seeing like driving past these locations, because I didn't think Twilight was this popular still, but I guess we're doing it even though we were just like are casual fans of it.
Twilighters, please pull into the driveway. Do not stop on the road. Oh, they've got the Cullen thing there.
Cool.
This is cool.
So they know people are coming because they have a sign saying, do not stop, but go through the loop. That's pretty cool.
Do not come onto the porch. Do not enter that. That's cute. That is pretty neat though. Like, and again, I think the fact that they're willing to let people do a little bit of photography and stuff like that is really neat.
So I think that's gonna be a wrap on our Twilight scavenger hunt. We're gonna head to our first hike of the day now.
We have driven up to what is just about the most northwest point in Washington and by extension the United States, at least in the lower 48.
Yes.
So we have come onto the Makah Reservation and we are in the town of Nia Bay. We have just bought our permit, which was available at a couple of spots here in town, but we got ours at the museum. And with this, we are able to go to do the Cape Flattery hike.
The Cape Flattery hike will actually take you to the most northwest point in the contiguous United States. So we're not officially there yet, but we're pretty close. And because you are on Native American land, you do have to buy a permit to be able to hike that. So we're very excited that we were able to pick up the permit and now we're all ready to go. It was about a 10-15 minute drive, but we are officially on the trail now.
Yeah, so this trail should take us to the absolute most northwest point in the
Lower 48. We always have to put that asterisk because
Yes.
obviously Alaska's still there.
Yep.
And Hawaii. Oh, that would be like the
That would be the other end, but yeah, Alaska will be further west and further north, but for the lower 48,
This is it.
This is really cool. It's a pretty simple trail, kind of steep to start, but it seems like it's well maintained and it's in a nice spot with some hopefully amazing views when we get to the end and along the trail as well.
Yeah.
I saw you down the motorway. There was something about you that day. I can still hear the shimmering sound. The hill is near, let's get right up.
The hike has been very beautiful so far, especially with the sun peeking through, and these platforms are really fun to walk along. Not only are they a cute little feature here, but they keep your shoes free from being muddy, which I really appreciate.
Not quite as much as me. Yeah, I totally agree.
The overlook up there was a very great view. We are now heading down the trail even further down these boardwalks to get to the most northwest point in the contiguous United States. There's a lot of steps right now that I'm really trying to concentrate on not falling.
I know my life will never be the same after that day.
That's really cool.
You wrap me around your fingers and you stay. I don't ever wanna be alone again.
Oh yeah, see him on his back? So there's a sea otter and I'm bummed because we didn't bring our binoculars. Everyone loves sea otters and puffins. So we have made it to and are on our way back from the northwesternmost point in the United States, lower 48 asterisks.
Not only did you get the grand views, including a lighthouse off in the distance, but also sea otters and puffins.
They were close enough that you could see them swimming around on their backs, trying to crack open their shells that they had for food, and it was really cool. So I'm super excited that we got to see sea otters because that was definitely on my list of critters that I wanted to see in the wild.
The rest of the hike up back to the van was mostly uphill, so we have shedded our layers and we are back at the van now. I think we're gonna make a quick bite to eat because it is afternoon at this point in time. Well, afternoon. We did get a late start because we had to do some work this morning. For a bit of reference, this is the map that we picked up the other day when we first entered Olympic National Park and went to the Hoh Rainforest. Down here is where we came up the coast. We were on the 101. Couldn't stop at Ruby Beach because it was under construction at that time. So we veered off from Ruby Beach and went to the Hoh Rainforest. We got back on, headed into Forks, couldn't find a place to boondock, returned back to this area to try to find a camping spot, which we did successfully. Then this morning we left from here, drove through Forks again, and then we continued on up and we are all the way here. We are going to leave from here and head all the way back down and continue driving through the national forest. We're actually not that far from Seattle as well. It's just over here, but we're gonna get back in the Olympic National Park and continue our journey through there. After food, of course.
Yeah, and putting away hiking stuff. Let's go back there.
This summer I'll be by your side. A wonder that you can't describe. How long will you wait for me? I want you to see what I see.
After nearly 2 hours of driving, we are passing Crescent Lake now. It is rainy and gloomy and the fog is coming down, and it's just a really cool aesthetic over the lake. So we're getting little glimpses through the trees. We were gonna stop and do a hike, but to not have a repeat of last night, we're gonna try to actually be able to find a spot a little bit earlier today, and we still have one more stop in the Olympic National Park before we head to Seattle, which is Hurricane Ridge. You're supposed to have some really cool panoramic views there of Mount Olympus and the surrounding area. So we're gonna head there. I think we're gonna catch it at the perfect time as far as a sunset would be. I don't know how much of a sunset we're gonna get given the condition, but I see some blue skies peeking through. We are officially on the Hurricane Ridge Scenic Drive. It's gonna take us about a half hour to get to the top where we're gonna have those amazing views. But right off the bat, we saw some black-tailed deer, which this area is famous for, or known for rather. So that was pretty cool. It's just on the side of the road, but they're very cute to see, and just one of the many things we're hoping to see along this route here.
It's really far. I felt a tingle in my heart. The sun has set and stars will appear. In many ways it's great up here. Somehow life goes on. The stars
That was so cool. So we had just driven off of that little pull-off with the waterfall that we stopped to look at, and less than a minute up the road there was a family of black bear just on the side. There was the mom and 2 cubs. Just so amazing. I'm really shocked that we saw them. But I think it's towards the end of the day, this road is quieted down some, so we may actually be in good luck for animals, and we already have been, judging by that.
About a minute past the bears and 2 minutes according to our GPS to the top, we're starting to see snow, which is just a crazy thing that like we're in July and there's snow here. There's a very unique climate up here that's nothing like we've ever seen before. So even though we're not getting much of a view because of the fog that has rolled in, which I'm pretty sure that we're just driving through a cloud, this drive has been completely worth it. Between all of the black-tailed deer, we have white-tailed deer where we're from in New York, so that was really cool to see, the black bears and the snow, and we've made it to the top and this is our view.
So I'm sure somewhere out there is the glacier, and there's some telescopes here so we can get a really nice view of the fog.
So we made it to the Hurricane Ridge Visitor Center, which is closed now because we are here just around 8 o'clock. There should be a sun setting somewhere in the distance because it is getting to that time of day. Unfortunately, the fog has rolled in, or the cloud, or whatever the situation is, but we should have been able to see the glacier as well as Mount Olympus, which would have been epic. But like I was saying in the warm van, because it is cold out here, and when we are running there now, it was a cool drive nevertheless. Even though we didn't get to see the glacier, we did get to see some snow. And even though we didn't get to see Mount Olympus, we got to see some really cool animals. So still totally worth it, but yeah, we're running to the van because it's really cool now. Now that we are back in the van, we're gonna keep our eyes peeled for that cute little bear family. Hopefully they're not too close to the road, but just far enough for us to see them once again. As we make our way down, that's what I'll be looking for. Oh, look at them run.
They're so cute.
I can't even handle it.
All right.
I can't believe that we were able to see the bears on the way down because they were quite a bit further down than at the visitor center, so I was sure that they were long gone, but we actually sat there quite a bit of different way. I had the zoom lens this time, unlike with the sea otters and puffins earlier, but just to watch them and to watch the mama bear eat and then walk herself back up to her cubs was just an amazing experience. Then a little bit more down the road, we see a deer with her babies. So how cool is that? We got to see a baby bears and then baby deer and it's just amazing. And then to top it off, as we're working our way down and getting out of the cloud, we're seeing the glacier mountains and seeing the snow on top of the mountains. It's just like peeking through and like revealing itself, and it's just absolutely breathtaking.
This is unbelievably cool and absolutely some of the best experiences we've had in the Pacific Northwest, and here in Washington. We've just been so impressed with everything we're seeing. What a way to end the evening. This was our last thing that we were kind of doing before we find a spot for the night, and this was 10 out of 10. Absolutely recommend.
From my heart.
Wow, that's a sweet schoolie.
Oh, wow, they even have a deck.
Off the back.
Wow.
Dang. And a motorcycle, it looks like. That's pretty sick.
Like an RV park too. Tonight is going to be a Walmart night. When I was looking on iOverlander, there was lots of comments about the Walmart in Port Angeles here, and it does look like they are not wrong. The comment said that it's a nice, quiet Walmart and that there were several other RVs and vans in the parking lot. And I can attest to that. There's even some schoolies and people who are parked here with their boats. So it's another unofficial little campground here tonight. And I think we're gonna be right at home here in the Walmart parking lot. So not another night of epic views in grand forests, but I'll take it because I have a bathroom and snacks.
It's nice to get a spot without having to do a lot of searching. We knew we were coming here, and even though the sun has gone down, it's good because for us, whenever we get to a spot, we don't necessarily want people right by us, but it gives us a little bit of a comfort factor if there are other vans nearby. And so this Walmart having a lot of vans, I think there's not really a spot that you can go wrong with. And I feel like we did get a good spot just in general.
Mostly because we know we're not going to get kicked out in the middle of the night. But yes, we are in a good spot. We're by a camera and a telephone pole, which is what we always like to park by while we're in Walmart's. But now we're going to walk in and grab something to throw in the air fryer, because even though we went shopping earlier, we really didn't grab much for the air fryer. So we're going to go do that and then cook us some dinner and then call it a night here.
We are returned from our Walmart shopping trip. We got some more food for the fryer.
We already had the
This is old.
Yes.
From last time.
We got some more chicken nuggets to enjoy tonight, so we're gonna pop those in the air fryer and then call it a night.
We found that the air fryer is actually a really cool piece of cooking equipment, especially for parking lot stays, because it's pretty low-key, that's the right word, and low maintenance in order for us to cook something that's actually warm without making a lot of mess and doing stuff like that. So perfect dinner for tonight. Really just a great day, I think, from start to finish. And tomorrow is a day that I've been super excited for because we're going into Seattle. There are a few things I'm hoping to see, but that'll be, I guess, the story for tomorrow. So we will see you then.
Good night.